Hey there, I'm Bruce Ulrich. Welcome back to another video. In a previous video you saw how I made a reclaimed bourbon barrel chandelier. Well, in this one I'm making a bathroom sink out of an entire bourbon barrel. Let me show you how I made it. This project starts out with me adding the hoops back to this bourbon barrel. They had previously been removed, but we wanted them on there for the look. Bourbon barrels are pretty unique in that they don't have any mechanical fasteners, so everything is held together with pressure and different angles fit and cut, and these hoops kind of hold it all together. This one was going to kind of be a showpiece, so when I was putting the hoops back on, we wanted these bolts that are on the front of some of the hoops to be toward the front, so I made sure to align those. I'm trying something different with this. For the sink bowl of this bourbon barrel sink, we're going to try to use just a large salad bowl. It's a readily available object, and I thought it would be kind of cool if we could use that for the sink bowl. Sometimes after these barrels have been scooted across the concrete, they have a little bit of a rough edge. So I'm just using a file and some sandpaper to remove the burr. Send it. We were going to be cutting into the top to be able to inlay the bowl, so we needed to stabilize the barrel so that it would not completely fall apart. So we actually drilled a few holes through the steel and into the wood and added some screws so that it stabilized the whole thing. We used this little countersink tool to make sure that the screws could mount flush. Next up, it was time to cut a hole in the top. We knew this was going to be challenging because, again, there's nothing holding all of these together except pressure. So as we started to make this cut, things started to fall apart. This particular barrel had some dowels that were holding it together for joinery, so we were able to finish off the cut at the bandsaw. There were a bunch of pieces that went right next to the edge, however, that we needed to kind of assemble back together to be able to stabilize it. We just used some painter's tape right here to rebuild this to see if our sink would even fit with the hole that we had. Oh, nice. That's good. Look, not much play. Enough that we can get a good bead. Yeah. That looks good. Dig it. Here's your Instagram picture. Ready? Get overhead. And you've got to have a little fun, right? Did you get it? Next up was to fit the faucet on. That's great. We wanted to use this oil-rubbed bronze faucet, and it comes with a little template spacer thing that we use to mark out the holes to drill. Then we knew we needed to stabilize the actual barrel head, so we're going to use this piece, and we were marking out the center of each of the staves in the head. That way when we secure it from the underside, we know where to hit it. Then we just contoured a piece of particle board that we had that would give a little bit more strength on the underside to be able to hold the weight of the sink bowl and the faucet. Jeremy's dad got pretty creative with all of the supports, and I will say it held quite well after this. It's not the easiest thing working with a barrel where pretty much every surface is round or curved or concave or convex. We just used some paddle bits to drill the holes for the faucet. All right, so we're calling an audible here. We're going to try to use that bowl that you saw, which is just basically a large salad bowl, because we thought it would be cool to be able to do that. But once we got the hole cut and the top of the barrel head all secured so the staves wouldn't fall back apart, we just realized that putting the drain in and plumbing was going to be a real pain. We were having a hard time figuring out how to make that drain well, and we really thought we would make it work, but we're just calling an audible. We're going to actually just put a sink in that fits. We found one that fits in the top of this barrel head, and that's going to make the plumbing issues and putting a drain in much more standard. So that's what we're going to do. Oh. So we picked up a sink that would fit into the barrel, and luckily there was one, but we had to flip the barrel over and actually measure and then recut this other head because the other side would have shown a gap from where we had already cut the hole for the salad bowl. So we just kind of repeated the whole process of cutting and drilling and jigsawing, and it falls apart, and we try to put it back together, only to discover that that one was basically falling apart beyond repair. So Jeremy had a new barrel head that we were able to grab and put back in there, and he's going to demonstrate right here how you can put a new barrel head in a barrel.
I might need lotion on my skin, Bruce. Oh, I'm stuck. My hand, I don't, yeah. This is an issue.
Here, I'll get it.
No, it's not that. Are you saying I have short arms? I can reach it.
No, T-Rex, you're fine.
Don't fill my butt.
Too late.
Does this barrel make my butt look big?
We secured it at the top into the new barrel head with some screws that wouldn't show because we're putting them below where that top barrel hoop goes. This will just give it more stability, and hopefully we won't run into that same issue as we did on the previous two. Then it's back to securing the hoops, drilling and stabilizing them just as you've seen me do before. Now, let's see if we can get it right this time. This is the third time that we have cut a hole in a barrel head, and we actually completed it this time. We got the sink to fit in, and now we're moving on to the door. We wanted an access door so that you could get to the plumbing and everything inside, but we wanted it to be kind of hidden. So we marked out a spot that would be kind of in between the staves, and that way you wouldn't be able to see where the door begins and stops. And on the top and bottom of the door, the cuts were actually going to be behind the hoops that we put back. So we started off using an oscillating tool, and in this white oak, this tool just did not cut very fast and not very good. We kind of made a few of the plunge cuts with it and then quickly moved on to the jigsaw, which did a much better job. Oh, so satisfying. Woo! Next, we needed to try to secure all of these together. We were just going for something quick because this door is not going to have a lot of usage. So we added some CA glue and sprayed some activator on it. It didn't take the very first time, so we ended up having to add a little bit more, but eventually we got it to stick and stay together. Jeremy had the idea to add some tiny magnets so that when we put the door in and the barrel hoops were there, the magnets would actually just stick to the top and bottom of the barrel hoop, and that's all you needed to hold the door shut. And it was a really great idea, and we were able to execute on that. So here you see me drilling in, and I'm adding a few rare earth magnets. Next up was a little bit of finishing. We didn't do much sanding on this barrel because Jeremy liked the way it looked with that weathered look. So we're just adding a couple of coats of water-based polyurethane. We ran out of light today and it's almost 8 o'clock, so we got a coat of poly on all of this and it's gonna dry tonight while we shut up the shop. We'll come back tomorrow, put another coat of finish on it, probably at least the top, while we're kind of working through putting the sink in, and this one will be almost done, I think. We ended up doing a couple of coats on the outside of the barrel, and then on the top I did 3 coats. Next up was getting all of the plumbing run into it. We marked out on the floor in the bathroom where it was gonna go, and I drilled some holes in the back and in the bottom so that we could run all of the existing pipes in through this barrel. Then we added some silicone and dropped the sink right in. After we wiped away any of the excess on that, Jeremy's dad actually has experience with hooking up sinks and that type of thing, so he got everything hooked up and this project was done. Thank you so much for watching. This project had quite a few challenges in it. One of the big ones was cutting the hole for the sink the right way. And the reason it's a problem is there's no metal fasteners in the actual barrel. It's all wooden. So once you kind of cut into the top and some of that tongue and groove starts to give away, you really have to try to support it in a different way. So it was a fun challenge. So in some of the videos you've been seeing my buddy Jeremy, I'm at his shop, and that's why you see multiple people working in the shop. And one of the cool ideas he had was to make a door in the front of the bourbon barrel that was basically unseen so that you could access the pipes or put stuff in there if you needed to. So we actually cut it underneath where the hoops are so that you could get to it, and when you put it back, we put magnets on it. It just magnetizes shut to the barrel hoop, and you can't even tell there's a door there. So I thought that was a nice touch. I'd love to know what you think. This is kind of a different project, but I think it's really cool to kind of get out and experiment with stuff like this. Leave me a comment below and tell me if you would have done anything different. Would you have put a copper sink or would you have put a black one? I personally like the white one because I think it has a great contrast. If you're not already subscribed, get subscribed to the channel. I'm putting out a ton of videos. You don't want to miss out on any of those coming up. So thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.